It's about to get deep in here. We're about to get vulnerable. We're about to share some stuff that we have never shared on social media before.
Are you ready for this?
I don't know. Are you ready?
I don't know. Let's just do it. See what happens.
Nervous.
Rip the Band-Aid off. All right, here we are. Episode number 5, guys. We're doing it. We're chugging along. We're starting to make a dent here. We're getting a lot of amazing comments. And
yes,
we're
thank you guys so much.
Super excited to be doing this. I really look forward to this every week now.
I do too.
So, yeah, it's cool. I don't know why, but it's just it's a deeper look into us and a better connection with our community, which is awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people have been sharing very intimate things with us. Not intimate, like sexy intimate, but intimate, like, you know, things that they have going on in their life, struggles and challenges. And I said, you know what? We need to do the same because we have all the same things that you guys have going on. You know, in our videos, you don't normally see that because we're
showing you the highlights
videos, right? And so we figured, you know what? I want to make sure that everybody knows we struggle too. We're all about good vibes. We're all about never playing the victim and never anything. And so we always like think of everything optimistically and all of that. But it doesn't mean that stuff's not happening. And, you know, life has thrown stuff at us from childhood till now. There's always things going on, right? And so we figured that's what this podcast is going to be about, because I think that being vulnerable and sharing things that we're going through is really important, to be honest and authentic with you guys. And so the theme feels good.
Yeah, the theme of this podcast is going to be things you didn't know about trying something new. All right, are you guys ready to try something new? I think I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Throw it out there and see what happens.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, guys, be gentle.
Or not.
Or not. Who cares, right? We're not sensitive. We got tough skins. All right, before we get to the fun stuff, we got a little bit of business to take care of, and it's a really fun business too. So let's make a little announcement here, Sandy.
All right, so we were asked recently to speak at an RV family virtual summit, where it's going to be a bunch of people that either are interested in RV life or RV full-time. And we are going to be sharing all about how to take your RV adventure and turn it into a side hustle. So all about content creation and making money from your content.
There's going to be a ton of other speakers there. There'll be everything from like insurance on the road. There'll be nutrition on the road. There'll be homeschooling on the road. There's just
tons of information.
Huge collective of a lot of people that are out here doing it full-time and sharing knowledge with you guys. So if you want to be a part of that, definitely check out the event link down below. We'll have it in multiple places. We'll probably put it on our link tree as well, but it's coming up pretty quick here.
It's September 12th to the 14th. It's going to be a 3-day summit. We'll also be a part of one of the live panels. It's going to be on the 12th at 3 p.m., I believe. So if you want to ask us anything, join us there too.
Show up and we'll be hanging out, having fun, talking about content creation.
It's all virtual, so there's no in-person. It's all virtual.
Super cool. One of the groups that has changed our direction and finding community is Full-Time Families, and they're the ones hosting this event. So anything they're doing is going to be a seal of approval from us, because they're a great group of people.
And another thing is,
this is the fun part right here.
Last week during our podcast, we had a little challenge, a Trying Something New challenge, where we were going to give away 5 t-shirts, Trying Something New t-shirts.
Let's put some, so for you guys aren't watching, we got a whole pile of t-shirts
Here's a bunch on the floor right over here. And at the end of this podcast, we are going to announce the 5 winners.
5 winners. We're going to tell you a little excerpt of their story too, because we got some really cool stuff.
Oh man, really good stuff.
From homesteading to mental health
we
to
had a ton
special
of
needs child
people entries, and so we picked our top 5, and you guys can let us know your size, your address, and we will ship it on out to you.
All right, so stay tuned to the end, because we're going to be announcing that. All right, let's get to the juice, the story, the fun. All right, so I think we got to rewind to the childhood here, Sandy. When you were born, what did you feel when you came out of your mom?
Do you who remember, the heck knows? That was almost 50 years ago.
Do you remember that far back?
My birthday's really soon, and that was a really long time ago. But a lot of women have told me, whether either through social media or in person, that my confidence, like that, I have to tap into my Sandy confidence. And it makes me laugh, because if these people only knew that this is very recent for the most part. Like, I had a very tough childhood. We were very poor. It was a very challenging childhood. Okay. I had a lot of stuff going on, and things happening that shouldn't be happening, and that's just the reality of it. So I grew up so insecure. Let's pause there for a minute. Besides, do you want to dive deeper into besides financials? Because we all grew up on the welfare.
of the day, right?
Well, you know, so
I mean, how deep you want to go?
I don't want to go too deep right now.
All right.
But I'm gonna put it. You know, lots of stuff going on, very dysfunctional. And so I was very insecure. I always feel like people are gonna find out what's going on at home and this and that, and it made me like a shell of a person. I mean, seriously, you could not be more insecure and less confident than I was as a kid. And I remember I would just journal and I would write and I was like, you know. And so when I would see confident people, popular girls in school, people that had it going on, I couldn't even fathom how that felt, you know? And so it's been many, many years. It's been a long road to get where I am today. A lot of work. And I'm very happy with myself where I am today. I'm very comfortable in my skin. But damn, was it a trip? Was it a road to go down? Yeah, and so when people are sharing that stuff with me, I'm like, I am right there with you. I can relate. This who you see today is not who I was for many years. I would say it's been a lot of work in progress. And so, what do you think, babe? Am I doing all right?
You sound pretty good. How you feeling? Getting it out?
I feel great. No, I feel great. And I just want people to know, like, you may see us and
everything looks good on the outside, right?
Good. My hair is always up and whatever, you know. But no, that's not the case. It was a hard road. So
for like what year? Like how old were you when you kind of pulled
my
your
whole
crap
childhood.
together?
Did I start getting together?
Yeah, because you were in the club scene for a long time, like in New York City.
I grew up in New York City, in Queens, New York, and it was you know, from teenage years, clubbing in New York, going to all the nightclubs, Limelight, Palladium, all the the Tunnel. I got into some stuff. That'll be another thing that I'm going to be talking about.
So let's pause there. What were you looking for, and what did you find in those nightclubs? Like, because there's something there, right? Like,
well, I'll get that into the and the other point that I'm going to talk about.
Right.
But yes, so if anybody is feeling lost and insecure and like, you know, out of sorts, I want you to know that 100% you can get out of that. Because I had no role models, nothing helping me, no one to talk to, and I was seriously lost. And I go, what's the point, you know? And but I kept going, and then things got better and better and better. So if anybody out there is feeling like that, please keep going, find help, do what you got to do, because life can be absolutely amazing. And sometimes we just have to get out of our own way and seek it.
And when we're in the moment, I think that we all think like this is never going to pass. Like we just this is my miserable,
especially when it's years and years and years. You really don't think it's going to pass.
It's never going to pass. But then you fast forward, you know, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, and you're like, holy crap! Like I wouldn't even recognize myself.
Yeah.
And now, if you told me this, you know, 5-10 years ago, where would we be at? I'm like, that's not in my cards. So I don't think so.
Yeah.
So where does that take us to? Like how far along in our childhood are we at right now? Because I'm a very linear person, so I want to know like a timeline scale. Like
I would say entire childhood up until my mid-20s was pretty lost.
Pretty messed up.
And then I moved from New York to Las Vegas when I was 26, and I could get into that with the other thing I'm going to talk about. But it was
all right,
many years.
Okay.
I feel like it's been so many lifetimes that I've lived already.
Doesn't even
it's
seem
crazy.
like you. So, all right, let's switch gears and let's head over to me real quick and give a little get me up to Sandy's speed. Get me up to her age group.
All right, a young adult. Lay it on us, Jimmy.
All right, I grew up in a pretty I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't know what is normal. Middle class. No, I don't know. We were on welfare for a long time. I remember going to the church and getting cheese,
cheese blocks,
5-pound blocks of cheese.
Can anybody relate to the cheese blocks?
Yeah, we were getting all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we always had. I felt like we had enough growing up, but you know, seeing what my mom was a single mom, you know, trying to make it happen for many years before she found my stepdad, and it was a struggle, and you know, but she never led on to that. My mom led a pretty. She had a lot of trauma happen to her in her youth, and so I think what my mom did with me, she tried to overprotect me. I think she didn't want me to go through the crap that she went through. So I wouldn't say I was sheltered, but I was very. I had a tight leash. I couldn't do a lot of things, and. It was, and I had to check in every 30 minutes. And
that's crazy.
We would be out on bike rides with all the friends, and we're getting ready to get in some major trouble and havoc, and like have a great time.
She's
And,
like,
and I, if I didn't come back on the 30, every 30, then I wouldn't be able to go out for the rest of the day. So yeah, I always got made fun of because I had to, you got to go check in. See you later.
Poor Jimmy.
And so my mom was very protective, and you know, there's no good, there's nothing to that. It's just that she was very, very, very protective. So, you know, looking back on it now, of course, we all want to protect our kids and make sure that they're doing good and, you know, have a great childhood and not go through the crap that we went through. But in a way, when I turned 18, I was like, I got to go sow my wild oats. I got to get out of here. I got to go. My best friend at the time, we were living in Washington, and my best friend at the time, his dad was retiring in Las Vegas, and he bought a house down there. And my best friend Mark's like, hey, you want to move to Vegas with me and my family? And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go to Vegas. 18? You kidding me? Like,
from Washington?
From Washington State to Vegas.
Oh, yeah, that's a big difference.
Went home, packed up the car, told my mom. As I pulled away, I was crying the whole way, you know, like just bawling. I'm leaving home, my mama. But yeah, I don't know. It was just time to go. It's time to go. So I fled the coop at 18, moved to Vegas, and just wild the hell out for many years.
I can't even imagine.
Whatever you can get away with in Vegas, and have a great time. And you know, I was doing pretty good working construction for a little bit. I mean, it was miserable because it was so hot there, but making great money. That was during the boom in the 90s in Vegas and stuff like that. But one night I was taking some night classes at ITT Tech, and one of the guys goes, hey, you want to go to a nightclub with us? And I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll go out to a nightclub, whatever. And how deep do we want to get into this?
It's up to you.
All right. So the guy that we went to the nightclub with, he was obviously a drug dealer, so he had some ecstasy. So he gave us he gave everybody one pill of ecstasy, and he handed out like 6 of them, and we're just like, all right, let's go. And that was one of the best nights of my life, and it created about 6 years of going and having the best night of my life for about 6 years. So in a lot of our videos, when you guys hear that we're old school ravers, that is what we're talking about. I was heavy in the club scene in Las Vegas, and Sandy was heavy in the underground club scene in New York City. We partied separately. We weren't together when we partied. Sandy had her act together by the time I met her, and she was sober for a long time. And I had to straighten out my crap if I wanted to be with this amazing woman right here. So separate party lives. I had a blast in Vegas, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I have some of the best memories of my life going through that whole club scene, some of the craziest stuff too. But I feel like it really made me who I am today, and I loved every minute of it.
All right, there you go.
All right, that's my drug story. What's your drug story?
All right, well, I'm gonna change subjects. And when I was 16 years old, I went on a skiing trip with 3 friends of ours. When I was in high school, I had a little tight group of friends. The one guy was a very good skier, and he was like, "You guys want to go skiing?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." I had never gone skiing before, so my mom was dead set against it, did not want me to go. It was a 4-hour drive to Pennsylvania, to Shawnee, Pennsylvania. She didn't want me to go. She's like, "I have a bad feeling, Sandy." And I'm like, "Give me a break." I'm like, I was 16 years old. And so we drive the 4 hours. We leave that day. We get to the mountain. I actually lied about my age because I was scared. I didn't know if they were going to let me go because there was no adult. And so I don't know if I put 18. What did I put? So we were there for about, I don't know, maybe an hour. And our friend Rick was giving us lessons on how to go down the bunny hill. I think the bunny hill was only like 800 feet high or something. I was doing good. I was falling a ton. He was showing me how to do it. And I'm like, all right, I think I got it. I go down, and there was a little bit of icy conditions. And so I was going down. He's trying to teach me how to do the snowplow. But I picked up so much speed. And I was so proud because I didn't fall this run. And so I'm like, yeah, I didn't fall. But then I realized I was going way too fast. And so I'm taking my poles and I'm trying to like put them in the ground to slow me down. And it was just like they were popping up. And then I realized I am going to crash. I'm actually going to hurt myself here. And so there was a tree line next to the, on the bunny hill. And there was a bunch of 2x4s with an orange net holding up. And there was a couple of people standing there and I'm going, watch out! I was just completely out of control. Well, I slammed into a 2x4 in my side, and all I remember was waking up. I had like dirt and leaves in my face, and my friend Rick is looking down at me in horror. Like, he goes, "Sandy, are you with me? Are you okay?" And I remember opening my eyes, and I was like, what just happened? I didn't even realize. I totally blacked out. So everybody called for help. They brought the snowmobile over. and put me on the stretcher. And I remember that was the most painful ride back, like to the first aid station. Like all the bumps and everything.
You're killing me here. What happened?
Oh man. So
this is like a 20-minute story.
Oh my God. It was like I'm reliving it right now. And so they brought me to the station, to the first aid, and they checked my blood pressure and it wasn't registering. And they were like, holy crap. They had to get a helicopter to bring me to the trauma center because what happened, the 2x4 lacerated my liver 8 inches. So it didn't go through the skin, but the impact made it almost burst. And so it was cut open and I was bleeding internally. I lost like 2 pints of blood by the time they got me to the hospital. And they didn't even know if I was going to survive because the blood was just gushing out of me. My mom gets a phone call from the chaplain of the hospital and says, your daughter was in a very bad accident. So picture, she didn't want me to go.
You might not make it through the night.
She did not want me to go. And now she's getting a call from the chaplain that I might not make it. And so I had no idea what was going on. I'm only 16 years old, terrified, so far from home. Nobody, my friends weren't there. And the good thing about the liver is it regenerates itself. So I didn't actually need an operation and I recovered fully.
All right.
So
here we are today.
Almost died.
So did you nurture your liver after that? Did you protect your liver?
I did for about a year. About a year.
And then you tried to destroy it.
And then we'll get into the next one. So it's your turn, Jimmy.
My turn. I took myself up to my party days. I mean, you're just skiing at 16 right now, so I don't know.
Well, I only have one more thing.
All right. So Sandy, I'd love to hear your stories about your nightclub days. It's almost like a movie. Somebody could make a movie about how you used to go to the Red Ropes and have to stand out there and be picked by the drag queens. And you were, 17 years old going to these major underground nightclubs with major DJ spinning and just getting involved in the whole scene. So I don't know. What other stories you want to tell?
So New York City, I don't even know what year it was. I was 17 years old though. And a few of my friends were like, let's go to the nightclub in the city. And I'm like, hell, let's go. So we went to Limelight and I had no idea what Limelight was. It was actually an old church. And it was my first exposure into the New York club scene. And I have to say, I was instantly hooked.
What?
I was hooked. My eyes were bulging out of my head. I was like, this is amazing. Now, there was a lot of bad stuff going on. I probably shouldn't have been there. Definitely shouldn't have been there. But I don't know. I was drawn to it. It was first off, to get into the nightclub, there's the red ropes and you have a drag queen that's standing there and that drag queen is picking people to come in. And if she doesn't pick you, you are standing outside in the cold all night long because you are definitely not getting in.
So it doesn't matter what you look like, who you are.
It wasn't like a line and everybody goes in. You were not guaranteed in. Literally, people can get dressed up, done up, go there, and you don't know if you're going to get in. You're like, all right, let's go out to eat because we're not getting in tonight.
Would you say your outfit was like a precursor for you getting in?
So, yeah. So there was a cool factor or whatever they considered I'm going to let you in look. And so, yeah, I loved fashion. I always wore crazy over the top stuff. I always wanted to be a fashion designer. And so I wore wacky things and did had cool looks. And so I remember when I got picked and they go, you, how many? And I'm like, 5. And then they look and see your crew. And if they're cool enough or whatever. And then this. Pull you all right, come in. And you're like, excuse me, coming through.
I'm 17 and I'm going to the club.
I was 17 and absolutely loved it. And so that just set the whole ball rolling. I'll keep the story short.
No.
For many years,
you told us 15 minutes of a skiing accident. You can't tell the New York club scene short. Come on.
It was crazy. I mean, supermodels, actors, it was the scene. And I was there with, my friends.
Name drop a couple.
Okay, so I remember one time, Linda Evangelista, supermodel back in the day, was standing out there and she's going, she's like, where is so-and-so? And she got pissed off. She was pissed. And I'm standing there pick me. And she's like, do you know who I am? And I go, oh, crap. She pulled the do you know who I am card. And they were like, oh, sorry. And they bring her in. She's phenomenal looking, by the way. Holy crap, in person.
Any other celebrities?
Oh, yeah, tons of celebrities. I met Boy George, Rod Stewart, Prince.
Donald Trump.
That was at a fashion show. I met tons of people. It was so much fun. So much fun. Hanging out in the VIP areas, just dancing the night away. the time of my life. But with that came a lot of drugs and alcohol. And
so pretty much everything you can imagine in the club scene without saying explicitly what it is.
Yeah, we don't need to get into those details. So heavily into drugs and alcohol, and that is a very big part of my life story as well. Now, of course, when you have a troubled childhood, what do? You get mixed up in drugs and alcohol.
You medicate, right?
And,
escape.
And it worked for many years until it didn't work anymore. And then I realized I have a problem. I have a very big problem. And then I got together with somebody in New York who had a very big problem. And so the two of us, it got into all sorts of stuff.
All right, guys, besides the winners at the end of the show, you're definitely going to want to stick around to the end because we're going to tell you our most craziest RV adventure story.
RV story.
Yeah, so stick around to that one. It's going to be
scariest moment of my life. So we moved to Vegas. Everybody's like, are you crazy? You have a problem and you're moving from New York to Las Vegas, which is like the capital of partying.
I think it's actually called Sin City.
Sin City, yes. I totally forgot about that little nickname for Las Vegas. Woo! But the thing for us, or the thing for me, was, we came from a crazy underground New York club scene to Las Vegas, where the nightclubs are in the casinos. And when you walk through the casino to get to the nightclub, you have senior citizens on oxygen machines playing their slot machines. It totally killed the vibe. Like, I was like, this is not what what I thought Vegas was going to be like. So I never even went to CK, whatever it was.
Y2K?
Whatever the nightclubs were at the time. I didn't even go because I'm like, this is so cheesy. I just thought
I thought it was really cool.
I know. Well,
I didn't experience your level of awesomeness, but I thought it was the best time ever.
But moving to Las Vegas was actually the best thing that ever happened to me because I got away from everything that I knew in New York and I got sober.
Oh, I thought it was because you met me.
And I met you later. But one of the most wild things was I lived really close to the World Trade Center down in Soho, and I moved to Vegas on Halloween Day in 1999. And then when 9/11 hit, we only lived less than a mile from there. So that was crazy, waking up to hearing what happened. And I was like, what the heck? So that was sort of a big eye opener too. Like, whoa, like get your crap together, girl.
Yeah, that's good.
So got sober, surrounded myself with beautiful, strong women. That really was the pivotal moment, I think, in my life as a woman.
It gets me a little emotional when you say that.
Oh, it really was. It was actually, I hung out with them on 9/11, and I was so still really insecure, and I'm like, I felt awkward hanging out with all these girls. I didn't know them very well, and women, like I was the youngest one, and so I just saw the way they carried themselves and the way, they were so loving and welcoming to me, and just opened their arms, opened their doors to me, so I just can be loved because I was very damaged at the time, and that was seriously it. I give all the credit to those women to who I am today because if they weren't in my life at that time, I don't know where I'd be today. I don't know, I have no idea. That was amazing, and so I'm so thankful. Those girls know who they are, and seriously, so that was sort of like now the rise of me. And getting my crap together. 27. I was probably 27.
And how long did it take before you felt like you could stand on your own 2 feet? Like, was it like 6 months? Was it a year? Was it 3 years?
Well, soon after I moved to Las Vegas with that guy, we broke up like 3 months later. So I had to get my crap together, and I had a job and I had my own place and everything, and but it was like I was just so lonely, and I was in this new town and I didn't know anybody. And so that's why this whole group of people that I was hanging out with really helped me and sort of guided me and showed me how to do things that I really never did before. Yeah. Like pay my bills and do all this stuff. And I was like, it was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy.
So here you are, 26, 27 years old, figuring out how to pay bills.
Yeah.
Because you were just screwing off and having a crazy time.
Many years of just having a good time.
And not living in the moment,
realizing
right?
this is now my life, and that sucks.
That's crazy.
Like, that's not what I want my life to be.
What I want the viewers to realize is 27 years old before you started that transition of even straightening yourself out.
Yeah.
Which is, so.
And we have a lot of friends starting having families at 20, and they're,
buying houses,
by the time they're 30, they have like 4 kids, and I go, oh, that's such a different story to how my life was at that point. You know, I was just living life up to the fullest in New York.
So I was you good? You need a break? Yeah. It got me emotional when you're talking about that, just because I know who the women are. So I was like, oh, such strong women. So maybe you can hear my voice a little bit. So, oh man, I lost my train of thought. It was a good one. Jar my memory. Messed it up.
Well, and then one of those women are the ones that introduced me to Jimmy.
Yeah, Stephanie. Yeah, Stephanie introduced, me and Stephanie worked together at a restaurant. And we'll get into that in a minute, but she introduced us. So how cool is that? Yep. Thank you, Stephanie, for creating our family.
Thank you, Steph. All right, Jimmy. So now back to you. When you were like 26 years old, what were you doing with your life?
All right. So I worked construction out in the blazing heat, 120 degrees all day, every day. I had heat strokes and like it was hard. It was the hardest thing I ever did. But hey, I went through the hard stuff first, right? Oh, that moment, that idea came back to me.
Okay.
That we were talking about a minute ago. We always joke around that me and Sandy got our midlife crisis out of the way first. So a lot of people will be serious and official in the beginning. And then when they get later on in life, when they got a bunch of money, they go and like go buck wild and do all this stuff. So we always joke around. There's nothing left that I really want to do. I've done everything that you can ever imagine. And so is Sandy. And we did it separately. So we always joke around. We got our midlife crisis out of the way first. And now we just get to build. So I think we're late bloomers in a way. In a good way, right? In a good way. So back to the story. I was working construction at the time. I was making like 120 bucks a day, right? And so for me back in the day, that was like a lot. Like, holy crap, you know, making 18, 19 bucks an hour.
Balling.
Yeah, I was balling back in the day. And so my buddy got a job at a restaurant. And he's like, I'm making 120 bucks a night in tips working 5 hours in this restaurant. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm in the hot sun for 8 hours a day making 120.
Yeah.
So I go, are they hiring over there? And he goes, yeah, come on over. So I was working, you know, all day construction, and then I was working all night.
Oh, you were doing both?
Yeah, I did it for a little while in the restaurant industry. And so it was amazing because I'm like, I can supplement my income. I don't got to be burned up and crispy out here. And all the guys I work with had skin cancer and drunk alcoholics, and like there was no future in construction, right? And so I went into the restaurant business, and then another friend worked over at Nobu, and Marcelo, and he's like, hey, you should come over to my. He was a club friend, right? We clubbed together, and like we were tearing it up. And he's like, you should come over to Nobu because they're hiring, and you can start off as a busboy making, I don't know, 150 bucks a night. So I'm like, heck yeah, let's go. And looking back on it now, that was a pivotal moment in my trajectory, right? Because I go to Nobu, and it's like the real deal. Like it's going to the major leagues on presentation and selling and how
especially for being a construction worker.
Yeah, how to conduct yourself and how to talk to millionaires and like really like take you to another level. So as I'm working at Nobu, I wasn't partying as hard, but we still went out on the weekends and had a great time, you know. And, you know, some weekends we had a really, really good time. The funny story with Nobu real quick is all the club promoters would come into Nobu, all the club VIP hosts, the doormen, the owners of the nightclubs, Dre's and all kinds of stuff. They would come into Nobu and eat dinner before their 11 o'clock shift started. And then we would take care of them, comp them a bunch of stuff and send them drinks and food and appetizers. And then when we got off, I would take the whole crew over to the nightclubs that we comped the guys earlier, and we would just walk up to the front door like you. It wasn't drag queens. It was just dudes that we took care of their dinner earlier in the night, and they would let us in and have a table with champagne and VIP. And it was like, that was our you know, sweet spot. So, I mean,
it works.
That's how Vegas works. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, you know? So did that for many, 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 many years. And I worked my way up through the ranks at Nobu. And then Stephanie, which was one of these ladies that helped Sandy get her stuff together, said, I got a friend that I want to introduce you to. And I was like, I'm good. Like, I'm just doing my thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm good. She's like, no. Just call her up. Here's her number. I'm going to tell her you're going to call her up and tell her that you want to meet her and go hang out and do whatever. I'm like, that's kind of weird. So she gave me her number, and I waited like 3 weeks. And every week, Stephanie's like, did you do it? Did you call her? Did you call her? Did you call her? And Stephanie's not this kind of person either.
She's not, yeah.
She's definitely not like a hooker-upper. And so finally, one day I got up the balls to call her, and I go, you know what? I'm just going to call her. And I called her up. We were coming back from a road trip in California, and we talked for 3 hours straight and didn't get off the phone. And I was like, holy crap, this chick's got so much energy. She's so fun. She's easy to talk to. We just like, we just rolled off. Like, we just connected. And then we always tell the kids, we zinged.
We zinged.
And so, that was the start of our relationship, I think. And then so after that, we made a time together to meet up in person. We met up, and I was just like, holy crap, this chick is like, OMG. I don't know if you remember Black Eyed Peas, but she looked like Fergie back in the day when Fergie was like hot in a Black Eyed Peas. And she would come into Nobu and sit at my table, and I would tell all the people, hey guys, you see over on table 52, Fergie's here. And
my hair looked really different. I used to do like these twists, sort of like like kind of styles that Fergie used to do, and everybody thought I was her.
Yeah,
it was hysterical.
And I'd be over talking to her, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, she's talking to Fergie."
I'm like, I wish I was as cool as Fergie.
She might be cooler now. She kind of fell off the deep end. So, all right. So let's talk about our first date, because that was really another, like, I don't know, that was just a moment in our relationship that I will remember forever.
Aww. Yeah. Well, take it away.
All right. So we finally. Wow, let's see. We finally connected, and we were going to go out on a date, right? I pull up at Sandy's house, right? And I'm like, holy crap, this chick's got a house? Like, remember, I'm used to like hood rats from the club. Like, there's not any women that, right? I pull up, and she's like, got this nice house. She's got a nice car out front. I'm like, damn, this is like a different level. This is like a woman. Like, because she was hanging out with women, right? So you are who you hang out with. Remember that. So she opens the front door, and this just pharaoh of a phoenix of a lioness is standing there. And I swear, like, there was like the door opened in slow motion, and there's like,
you are too funny.
There's wind blowing, and her hair was just so big because she's like Italian descent, so she's got like this big, thick head of hair, and it's just blowing in the wind. She's like,
I had a fan in front of me.
Yeah, it was like a Pantene commercial. She's got ripped jeans on, and she's got a great physique, and I was just like, holy crap, what did I just walk into? I felt like Wayne's one. I'm not worthy. All right, Sandy, I hope that you kind of had a little bit of the same impression of me as when I opened that door.
You know, the one thing Stephanie told me when she first told me about Jimmy, and she goes, listen, I gave this guy I work with your number. Don't be weird when he calls you. I was like, be weird? What do you mean? She goes, but he's got big muscles and tattoos. And that's how she described him. And I was like,
I like that.
Well, that sounds good to me. So when I opened the door, I was like, whoa, like tall, like big build, you know, like just cool style.
6'1", 190.
And and I was like, okay. So yeah, no, I was like, oh wow, all right, like. Because actually, when I moved to Vegas, I was single for like 2 years. So I didn't date anybody. I was just focused on me. Like, I focused on getting my stuff together, on, you know, building myself up and figuring out who I was. So there was a lot of inner work that I was doing that I don't have no time for anybody. And I definitely wasn't looking for some guy in
ain't looking for no hood rats,
in a bar, or, you know, it's actually kind of hard to meet people in Las Vegas if you're not in like a night scene. And I wasn't at all. And so I go, oh, am I going to meet somebody at Home Depot or whatever? And so Stephanie putting us together actually was magical. Yeah. Because I didn't want to meet, I didn't know how I was going to meet anybody, honestly, in Vegas. I go, I'm cool. Like, whatever's meant to be is going to be. So when I open the door, I go, all right, that kind of like checked the box, you know? I was like, if we're just magically put together and it works, like,
let's go.
It was cool. Yeah.
All right. So we went on our first date. We had a great time. Went to dinner at a restaurant called Kennedy's. And we are actually going to name our first kid Kennedy because of that restaurant. And yeah, I just had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time. Super cool.
Great. Super cool. You know, so how we knew it was good, like the conversation never stopped. It never got awkward. It was like, it was just easy.
Oh, I feel like we're having a little moment right here.
It was easy. It was easy to be with Jimmy. And I go, that's pretty awesome. Until there was some moments where it wasn't.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute though. So after that, we were both into fitness, and I was like a gym rat, and she was doing triathlons at the time. So she's like, well, I'm swimming at the pool on Tuesday. Do you want to meet me at the pool? I'm like, yeah, we'll do some laps at the pool, you know, work on my breaststroke a little bit and see what happens. So I go down to the pool and meet her up. I went with my friend Andy. It was a funny story because he tried to like swoops all my girls away from me. So he tried to do that with Sandy. But me and Andy go to the pool, and Sandy was up in the gym with big windows looking down at the pool.
Yeah, so there's a gym upstairs, and it overlooks the pool. And so I knew he was going to be there at, like, say, 2 o'clock. So I go, I'm going to get there a little early and check this guy out. And so I'm looking out, and he would be swimming. And then I guess he couldn't swim very good because he gets to the edge, and he would get up on the edge of the pool. Like
one lap, baby. Isn't that swimming? Isn't that swimming?
And when he got out of the water, and he's, like, sitting on the edge, I was like, whoa, like, he didn't have a shirt on now. And so he had cool tattoos, chest tattoos. His muscles you were pretty big at the time. Yeah. And it was like, whoa, I got like butterflies. I'm going, holy crap. Like I was never really with anybody that had like nice physique like that. And so, yeah, I was impressed. I was definitely impressed. Babe.
You have to tell me a little more later. All right, getting a little weird in here. But okay, so one of the highlights for me of that meeting, that date, that workout session was at the end, Sandy comes up to me, we're both in bathing suits, dripping wet, and she gave me a hug in a bathing suit, and I was just like, oh my gosh. I don't know. That was a moment for me.
Dumb.
And then she's like, next day, you want to go to my house? We'll go jogging together. And so it started our whole journey of, we did a bunch of triathlons together.
Yeah, triathlons,
marathons. We did an Ironman together.
We did.
Coeur d'Alene, 2005, we did an Ironman. Finished in...
Any Ironman athletes out there?
Finished in 15:58. If you know anything about times, that's a pretty long
15:52.
time. Yeah, but
or something like that. Yeah.
God. So anybody doesn't know what Ironman is? 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and a
full marathon,
26 mile run back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah,
it was so hard.
All in one day.
It was the hardest thing ever. So yeah, that really connected us. And a real quick story on Andy, since I said I'd swing back to that. He was my best friend forever, years and years and years, working construction and all this stuff. But he was definitely thought he was the cat's meow, and every time I would find a lady friend or a girlfriend or somebody I'm talking to, he would try to swoop in on him, and he was
more like the cat's hairball.
Yeah, and so he tried to swoop up on Sandy, and she's like, "Nah, don't."
I go, "Where's Jimmy? Like, I don't want to talk to you."
And I was like, "Damn, right on," because I knew Andy's MO, and I don't know why I stuck around with him for so long. But Sandy was actually the first woman that said, "No, I'm not freaking playing your game." So thanks, babe. Building that trust. Babe. Build that trust from the beginning. This is fun, man. This is fun. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. All right, we're going to do a little sidestep here. So let's fast forward in our relationship. Everything was going good for the first 6 months, 8 months, year, right? But I never did any. Sandy said she did a lot of deep work. I never did any work on myself. I was still that stupid kid that came from the nightclub that brought on all my baggage that I had been conditioned.
He had a ton of baggage with him. No, I did too. Yeah. I wasn't perfect for sure.
Oh, your nickname was the Ice Princess, so.
But
I had some silly stuff, and so I had to step up my game if I wanted to be with a woman. So Sandy's like, she put her foot in the sand. She goes, "Nope, I'm not accepting your behavior anymore." And so I was like, "Holy crap! What? Like, what do you mean? Don't you just take it? Doesn't everybody just take what they're given?" But I guess not
like you beat me up, right?
No, I know. But your parents like stay together no matter what arguments they get in, what fights they get in, they're always going to stay together. And that's how we grew up. And, so I was repeating those same cycles of trauma in our new relationship, which is actually stupid, right? But
I said, "No, I'm done."
And she said no. And I'm like, "Wait, what?"
And I think I threw him for a loop because he was not expecting that. And I said, "No, I'm working too hard on myself to deal with someone else's nonsense." He wasn't a very big communicator. So if anything was going on, I'm like, "So do you want to talk?" And I'm a huge communicator. And so I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of feeling this. Like, do you want to talk about it?" And he's like, "No.
I'm a construction worker.
I need to process."
We're talking about nothing.
And I go, "Process?" I'm like, "Well, how long do you need? Like, let's go. Get another gear
3
here."
3 days, 4 days.
And so finally I go, I can't do this anymore. This is dumb,
Yeah.
I didn't come this far and work on myself to deal with that. And so.
Go, girl. Woman power. All right, so we had broken up for a couple months. What, 2, 3, 4, 5 months?
It was a minute, yeah.
It was a good minute. So I got a chance to do some work on myself, right? And Sandy was continuing on her journey. And, I was just like a heartbroken little puppy. And I really wanted my woman back. So somehow, some way, we rekindled our relationship. It never died out, but it was just
we saw each other at Costco, and I was like, oh, I really love him.
So we decided to give it another chance, right? And so Sandy's like, "All right, we can't go down that same road again." Like, I agree. Like, we need to be better people.
Talk, communicate.
For ourselves, we need to be better people. So I thought it would be a great idea to surprise Sandy and take her on a dream trip of a lifetime to Tahiti, Moorea, and the big finale. Wait for it. Bora Bora.
I was like, heck yeah, let's go.
Overwater bungalows, turquoise water, Tahitian goddesses everywhere. Let's go. And so we went. It was a 10-day trip, and it was absolutely amazing.
It was really cool.
Epic. Everything you think Bora Bora is going to be, it is. And wouldn't you agree? Like,
oh, yeah.
It is like, the pictures don't even do it justice. We were like, oh my God, tropical is our vibe, and that is like tropical.
I am obsessed with turquoise water, and we did a jet ski tour around Bora Bora, around the island, and I was almost in tears of the sheer beauty of this different shades of blue that were like underneath us. I was just stunned. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, it was epic. So, let's see.
So fast forward, we did the 3 nights in each island. The end was at Bora Bora. And
was that our last night?
It was our last night, and we were just watching the sunset
on the beach.
And Jimmy takes a stick and he starts to write in the sand.
What did he write?
Will you marry?
Oh my God!
And I'm going, is he for real? And I go, oh my God, this is like, is this happening? Because we were in a really good spot in our relationship when we went there.
Hell yeah, we were in Tahiti.
And he goes, marry me.
Oh my God!
And I'm waiting for the question mark, and then he wrote, someday. And I went, oh, what a jerk.
All right, I think I got that one right here. Let's see what we do here. Oh.
Yeah.
Loser.
And so I was like, yeah, that was a loser moment, man. I go, are you serious? So that the question that you think, like, everybody that goes to Bora is like on a honeymoon or about to get engaged or whatever. And it was someday. And I go,
can we just like go to my mindset here for a minute? Like, to me, I just got you back. I'm like, I'm only on first base. I'm in phase one right here.
I can understand
this was the
makeup trip.
The makeup trip to get you back. Like, you're gonna marry me when I.
Well, no, we were together for
a couple months. Yeah.
And so
I'm like, all right. Well, and the funny thing is, I didn't know about this story until like
I never told him.
I would say 5 to 10 years later. You were like, remember that time on the beach when you said, "Will you marry me?"
You're such a jerk. You put someday.
I'm like, you would have married me at that point.
Oh,
and she's like, yeah. I'm like, are you kidding me? She even went home and told her cousin and like all this stuff.
Well, my cousin, I told her we were going there. She's like, oh my God, you think he's gonna propose? And I go, I don't know. And then so as he's doing it, I go, I have to tell Nikki. And then he wrote someday. And then so I told Nikki, you are not gonna believe this girl.
What a jabroni.
So, yeah, but guys, go to Bora Bora. It was stunning.
So this wasn't part of the story, but I just got a quick brain jog. Well, let's just talk about when I did propose to you.
Oh boy. That was a whole we should leave that for another time.
All right. Well, it involved helicopters, the Grand Canyon, and
yeah,
all that fun stuff.
It was,
so
it was pretty cool.
I feel like we got to move on a little bit. We'll get back to that.
So at the time that Jimmy was working at Nobu and we were dating, I was a cocktail waitress at the Palms in Las Vegas. I had never cocktailed before. I was always a bartender in New York. This was my first time being a cocktail waitress. It was fun.
Yeah, it was
fun. Made tons of money. Let me tell you, I didn't work in the pit. I wasn't a cocktail waitress in the pit, but those girls made bank.
Well, let's get into like, okay, so everybody goes to Vegas and they think cocktail waitresses are like the creme de la creme, right? So how long did you work at it?
It was like 5 or 6 years. I opened the Palms. So when it opened, I was there for about 5, 6 years. I started getting some crazy back problems from the tray and all that. And so I was like, this is not. And then the smoky environment.
Smoke, just
I was sick all the time.
Secondhand smoke 24/7.
But the money was great. I mean,
what's good money? I mean, we're talking like 20 years ago. So what's good money?
Is that 20 years ago?
I don't know.
It is not 20 years ago.
It's probably more than 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that sounds
before
crazy.
Nixon, and she's 15.
All right, so when I first started, I was making like $200 a day, and then I changed areas, and then it was like $500 to $1,000 a day, and a lot of this is free and clear because we were only taxed on, I think, $32,000 a year.
There's a tip compliance in Vegas.
Compliance, and so anything you made above that,
it's free.
It was kind of like
don't ask,
you
don't
don't
tell.
really say nothing. Yeah. And so, or at least you had a tip compliance, so you were good.
Yeah, you were good.
But it was really good money, depending on nights and sections and where you were.
What was your best night and what was the day? Like,
it would be a couple $1,000.
I remember you told me like Super Bowl one time was like a couple $1,000.
Maybe like $2,000 to $3,000.
So you were making that. You weren't even in the pits. So
I wasn't in the pit.
What do you think the pits girl made?
Those pit girls. Oh yeah, they were driving Corvettes and Range Rovers and 20-something-year-old girls and making crazy money.
Like what, a couple grand a night?
Oh, easily. Damn, easily.
So when you
then you have like high rollers in there and they're just throwing chips like crazy.
Drop you a 5 or 10 G's.
Yeah, I did a round. I think it was Vince Vaughn was in the craps, and I did a round on that table, and I was like, oh my God, like it's a different level when you're in the pit.
So let's pause there for a second. Just rewind. Like we were in Vegas when Vegas was like growing and all the casinos were coming and Vegas was an experience. Vegas still had that Vegas charm to it. I feel like it's kind of worn off a little bit.
I don't know. We haven't been there in a minute, but we did go through like say the Palms the last time we were there a couple years ago, and I go, what the heck? It feels so different.
But when we were there in that growth phase of Vegas, like at Nobu, it was celebrities every single night. Like, and they had a huge venue there. So like before the performers would go perform, they would come in and eat at Nobu, and we'd have to open up the restaurant especially for them and take care
like
of
Justin Timberlake,
Alicia Keys, Justin Timberlake, like all these like
everybody.
Vince Vaughn, hockey teams, like football teams. It was such a fun time to be in Vegas, and you were dealing with the same thing over at Palms, just celebrity after celebrity after celebrity.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, it was a good time for sure.
Until my back is breaking and I'm on the couch for a month because my vertebrae are twisting.
Oh, that
was not fun anymore. And the girls that could do that for years and years and years, more power to you.
That's a tough gig.
My body can't handle that. All right, so
Where are we at?
I think
what do you want to do?
That was a lot of stuff you guys probably didn't know about us.
I'm trying to look at the time here on the counter.
And I don't know how long it's been, but I think we should announce some winners.
All right, let's do that. Let's
announce winners or the RV.
Let's tell the RV story, but let's get up to a point where if we ever come back to this, then we know what we got up to for everybody. So we got up to the point where me and Sandy were together. We were both working in the service industry, and we hadn't had Nixon yet or started our film business.
Oh, we weren't even married or nothing. Yeah.
And so, we were just
dating.
Some young 30-year-olds having a great time together.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, doing a lot of traveling. So, just remember that for next time. We come back. We hadn't had our kids yet, hadn't bought our mega McDonald Ranch house yet, and all that craziness. So, all right, let's get into some winners because people put in some really great stories.
All right.
And the challenge was last week on the podcast was...
share your story of trying something new, because what were we talking about? We had tried something new.
I'll have to go back and look.
I don't know. I can't remember.
It's been a long day.
What was our last one? Oh, I was finding community on the road.
Let me take these out of your lap because it's really loud.
Is it crinkly?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is bags of shirts that we're going to give away here.
Okay.
All right. So
first winner.
Okay, so let's just talk about what the competition was. What was it? So
share a story of you trying something new, and we were going to pick the five
of the best.
I mean,
stories?
they're all good
all
because
good
anybody trying something new is good. And but we had to pick 5.
All right, so let's go with it. Drum roll, please. I don't know if I have a drum roll, but we'll give us some air horns.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I like that.
All right, so the first winner of a T-shirt is going to be. Why don't you read the name, Sandy? I'm horrible at reading names.
The Mama Hansen.
Mama Hansen. So a quick story on Mama Hansen. If you're out there, leave a comment. You left a great comment last week. They just started homesteading, so they're definitely trying something new. They bought 75 hens, 10 roosters, and they're learning how to be.
I love it.
Chicken people. They got a bunch of chicks and processing meat and all that stuff.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, dang, that's pretty
Skylar
crazy.
would love that.
Homesteading. Let us know where you're at. Maybe we can
have
Sky. All right, Mama Hansen, get a hold of us. All these people.
Let us know your size. Yeah.
Everybody get a hold of us and let us know how we can do
Every winner, please email me or send me a DM on Instagram and let us know your size and your shipping address, and we will get that out to you ASAP.
All right, Sandy, read the next name here.
Shan323.
All right, Shan has a severe case of OCD, and she's doing some treatments and therapy and really working on her mental health, which is absolutely amazing. So
love it.
Sometimes it's hard to reach out and find help, but she said she's definitely trying something new on that. So good for you. Right on. Great stories. Anybody wants to read the full? First of all, thank you for sharing these stories. It's like a lot of vulnerable stuff that like a lot of people you're putting out there in a public space, and so thank you. All these are in our comments on our last podcast. So if you want to read them, go through there and check them out. All right, Sandy, what's the next name here?
All right, Kim Krensil. 4581.
All right, and she's 43 years old. Her son has special needs. He's 12 years old. She's starting her master's in special education in the fall, and she's supposed to finish in 2025.
Nice job.
Yeah, definitely. Like
not easy.
Anybody with special needs, I give it to you. Like hands down, that's probably got to be one of the hardest things to deal with. So right on for you.
All right. Congratulations.
Starting a new career at 43 is definitely trying something new. All right, what's our next name?
All right, we have 1981 PJT.
All right, so this one is hysterical to me.
This is really funny.
They went inner tubing down a river, and they were tied together with a bunch of ropes, all these different inner tubes, and the rope got wrapped around their pants. Somehow they had sweatpants on while they're inner tubing. I don't know about that. But it ripped off their pants while they were inner tubing, so they had to have somebody come and help them. No, they were wearing pajamas, and so
all right.
I think one of the dads helped to grab them out. So it's just funny. You're inner tubing, your pants fall off, get wrapped around a rope. So definitely trying something new. Good for you. All right, what's the next one, Sandy?
He hasn't been tubing since then, so I think he was a little scarred. All right, and then we have Tammy Cruz, 8189.
All right, so Tammy is always commenting on our videos. She's been here since, I don't know, the beginning. She's been here for a long time.
Thank you, Tammy.
She always leaves long, meaningful conversations, and people even comment on her comments, and they create friendships and all that stuff. So super cool. So Tammy is trying something new, she says. She's driving to Florida, and a Nissan Juke to see her dad in October. And why is she seeing her dad? She just lost her mom.
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry.
Oh, that sucks. I'm so sorry to hear that. So her family's rallying around her dad. Her 2 brothers moved the dad to Tennessee when mom passed away. So dad's living with big brother in Florida now. And well, maybe I got that story a little mixed up, but
moved from Tennessee.
Yeah, they moved from Tennessee to Florida, so they're all rallying around dad to make him feel good. So maybe you can.
I love when family comes together like
throw
that.
Throw him your T-shirt, Tammy.
Or we'll send him one too if he wants one.
Yeah. So thank you, Tammy, for always being here for us. That's really
means
a lot. Means a lot, definitely. So that was a competition. Tell us a story of you trying something new. We got a bunch of T-shirts here. If anybody wants any of these shirts, we're very particular on the way things look, feel, fit, and the quality of them. And so that's why we've never gone into like mass production with swag, because we're just never happy with the quality. Because if we won't wear it, we're not going to sell it.
And we live in an RV, so having stock of stuff in here is just not really practical.
But if you see my shirt, these are the T-shirts that we have. This one's been washed about 20 times and it still looks vibrant and bright
the pink
as heck.
Is still
so we paid a little bit extra for a premium, but it's going to last, and that's what really matters.
Yes.
So we ordered 50 T-shirts. We got all sizes, and we ordered 50 sweatshirts.
And hoodies,
yeah. So we got hoodies of the same. So limited supply. If you guys want to order one, we're going to set up an Etsy page. So check that out. And you'll get a handwritten note from us and maybe a little video of us putting it in a bag for you. So how cool would that be? I always like that when I see somebody's got swag and they like actually touched it. I'm like, oh my God, that's like pretty cool.
Like,
wow, they put a pink wrapper on there and a sticker.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right, guys. There's been a lot of stories in this episode, but we got one more story.
Are you guys still here?
Man,
are you guys still listening or watching?
Let's make sure everything's still recording here. I got 4 different devices recording.
That would suck.
Yeah.
We
AC's
just have to
not
call
on.
it if it's not.
Nah, we got to finish it. All right, so what's the story? We have 3 stories, right? But we're gonna pick one.
We're just gonna. This one is Jimmy's story. This is a bad story that Jimmy, I don't know. Should I tell it or should you tell it?
I'll start it off and then you finish it. All right, so we're driving down the street. We get off the freeway. We're running
So we're driving our old RV.
I thought I was starting this.
A 1999 Class A, towing a minivan behind with multiple bikes on a bike rack.
Yeah. And so I need to get back on the freeway, and the GPS says I got to make a left, right? And so, but every left, there's a train track that says you can't cross here because it's like an apex or an A, and you'll get high centered. And so I must have went down like 10, 15 miles. And I'm like, dude,
no, it wasn't that far.
In my mind,
he was just impatient.
I'm like, at some point, we have to get across this train tracks and get back on the freeway because we're going the total wrong direction. And so I go, you know what? The next left, I'm going for it. I don't care. Like
I go, there's a sign. I don't think we should do that.
Yeah, that you're going to get high centered. It says,
it's one of those husband and wife moments.
Do not cross the train tracks. You will get high centered. I'm like, nah, they don't know what they're talking about. And
he always thinks he knows better. Yeah. I don't know if any other guys can relate to that out there.
You just kind of go for it sometimes. So I went for it. I got the front tires over. I got the back tires over. But right when the back tires went over, there's like a weird dynamic that happens. And the bumper went down and the bumper got stuck on the train tracks, right? And so I'm like, so I try to go forward. I'm stuck. I can't go backwards. I'm stuck. And we have a tow dolly with a minivan behind us, and you can't back those up because the way the wheels pivot and it gets like jackknifed and it just doesn't work.
So it was terrifying. So now we realize we are just completely stuck on the train tracks. Like with the first quarter of the RV was on it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of it was on it.
A lot of it was on the tracks. Now, not only was this scary to be on train tracks and stuck, but the train tracks from where the train's going to be coming curves, and so it's not like you could see the headlights coming from a long way down.
They can't see where you're pointing to.
Okay, they kind of can. So
there's a blind corner. We were on a blind corner.
It's completely, you can't. There's no warning that train's going to come around the corner, and it's just way too late. Yeah. Like you're going to get blown to smithereens.
Yeah, we would have got hit at 70 miles an hour by a train, and it would have been one of those videos on YouTube.
And our kids, this is our first year of RVing, so this is way back when our kids were so small. And I'm like, what the hell? It was really hot outside. Do you know what state we were in?
Nah,
I don't even know.
It's still too long
But
ago.
it was like, get everybody out of the RV. Jimmy now has to figure out how to dismantle everything that is packed.
I had to unhook the tow dolly. No, first I had to take off the minivan, which takes about 10 minutes. So
it's hard on all the tire straps.
I take off the minivan, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to unhook the tow dolly. But I have a bike rack, so I can't take the tow dolly off the ball hitch because the bike rack's in the way. So then I have 5 bikes that are bungeed and ratcheted strapped down to the bike rack. So I had to take off all the bikes.
Longest.
And then I had to take off the bike rack because I couldn't get the tow dolly off. And then I finally got that off, which took another 5 minutes. And then I had to take off the tow dolly and wheel that off the road. And then, you know, all the locals come out and they're just shaking their heads.
Well,
at
they're
us.
like, look at this dumbass. Yeah. The sign said, don't go over the train tracks. And we did. And so it was the most terrifying.
We made a U-turn. And
I would love to know how long that, from getting stuck to getting off the tracks. I'd
say it's at least 30 minutes.
It felt like a year.
Like 6 hours, yeah.
And I'm thinking it's a miracle. It's absolutely a miracle if a train does not come right now.
At any moment,
everything
we're
was
going
against
to
us.
die.
Everything was against us.
The funny thing is, we found some footage the other day. Skylar somehow, when she was like 5 years old, did a little vlog in the back of the RV. There's a train coming, and we're gonna die.
It was Ryder. The train coming. We all gonna die. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly the situation.
We should share that somewhere. That'd be funny.
Oh, Sky hears us.
Yeah, for sure. So that was our funny story. We have a lot of funny stories.
That was a terrifying story.
Now it's funny. Back then it wasn't funny.
Not necessarily funny.
This guy's coming in to say hi.
It was one of those guy moments that he would not listen to me, and yeah, it was a bad situation. It turned out okay because the train didn't come. But it was terrifying. You know, so listen to the signs, guys.
As a guy, like, I don't want to listen. I'm like, I know best, but I got to listen.
He does not know best. It was terrifying.
All right.
So,
wow.
I'm sure everybody's got a story that, you know, especially when you RV, because there's, you know, it's so big, right? And there's situations where you're like, I never saw that coming.
Yeah. Now we're 67 feet, like, rolling out. So we got to be cautious.
And now we don't do those things. We don't take chances anymore.
We don't.
At all.
For sure. I guess we have less stories then if we don't take chances.
No, now we just got fun stories, not terrifying stories.
All right, guys, we've been talking for way too long. Thank you so much for sticking along
for
this
episode. If you are still here,
you guys are
listening
awesome.
or watching this,
you got to leave a comment if you're still here and let us know.
I have to say, you are amazing. And thank you.
Yeah,
thank
definitely.
You.
So, guys, we're going to wrap it up right now. And like we always say, whatever you do, get out there and
try something new. Woo!
We even got
like some sound effects or something.
We got one. Oh, that was the wrong one.
That's a good one too. That's the train story sound effect.
Yep. All right, guys. Woo! Have a good one. Peace out.